All right, let's talk about these layers. So we've got a bunch of different layers. We have like something like 10 or 12 hidden layers or hidden line layers, and we have like 10 or 12 visible line layers. And it should correlate with every type of geometry that's in my model. One thing that is, I think, easier to manage is all of the hidden lines, because hidden lines generally are going to look very similar. Just give me a quick like raise of your hands if you understand what I mean by a visible and a hidden line. That's far less than I thought. Okay, so let's talk about that real quick. Let's see. There we go. That's a pretty good drawing. Okay, so visible lines are, like, if you look at an object, you can see all of the lines of that object like it's a real thing. The hidden lines are indicative of geometry that are not visible if you looked at it as a real object, if that makes any sense. So if you cut a hole in a part like this, you're going to see it as a dashed line that goes across the surface that you would see otherwise. Does that make sense? I'm talking about these right here. Okay, so you guys get that generally? Okay, at least you have seen it. So those lines don't really look that different no matter how you draw them. Like, they're going to be thin, usually. I mean, I can't imagine why you would need a thick hidden line. But they're going to be thin, they're going to be dashed or dotted. So really, if you wanted to, you could grab all of the hidden lines. That would be this layer, that, let's see. Oh, I don't know how much you guys know of Illustrator, but if you click on the dot to the side, like to the right of that dot, it's going to select all the objects on that layer. Okay, so it's a good shortcut. And then shift click and you can select all of the hidden line layers. It's a good thing they named them hidden, right? So, yeah. Anyway, so all of these, what you want to mess with is the stroke types up there, or you could do it in the stroke panel. If we're going to make it a dash line, I tend to want to do it here. So let's click on dash line. And there you go. Okay. And I'm going to make it a 0.25. So I like to keep my dash lines like really, really small. I'll just kind of click off it, and we'll take a look at it up close when we get it all done and really understand whether or not we need any of that line work later. The other thing I'm going to do here is start to look at all of the layers that are object layers. Okay, and what I typically do is I'll name all my layers something that's appropriate. So first off, let me hide my hidden layers. I think that's all of them. And that guy. Okay. And then I'm also going to hide all of the layers except for one visible line layer, right? And then I'll select that, and then I'll just figure out what it is and call it something. So this one is going to be, I'll call it 00 site model. I like to use numerical indices that way I have like a hierarchy to which information shows up first rather than alphabetical. Let's see, so I turn that one off. I'll go to the next visible layer. That's this one, which is the core of my building. So I'll call this one 01 core. This one is, can't really tell. Looks like, louvers. That's what that is. Okay. 02 louvers. This one is facade structure. I think. This one is main structure. Wow, that's not very accurately modeled or placed. This one is glazing. Okay. So each of these is going to be modified specific to what that element is, right? So you guys, by now, you should be knowledgeable enough to be able to tell, like, your major elements are going to have a thicker line than elements that take a sort of secondary approach to how important it is to the architecture. So the main structure here, that's going to be a huge one. So I'll just make those like 4-point. I'll go to black. And I could always tweak this stuff later, but I'm going to exaggerate it for now. Okay, so that's my main structure. Facade structure, this one's definitely going to be really, really important, but not quite as prominent as the other ones. So I'm going to make that a 2 and make those lines black. Actually, I think I want to make those white. That doesn't help me much. This is a terrible render, so let's see. There we go. That's more accurate. Okay, it looks a little better. So I made the facade structure white. I think I actually just want gray. Let me just make it gray. That's better. Louvers are going to be black, and they're going to be really thin. The core is also going to be black and thin. And glazing, also black and thin. Alright, so let's turn them all on. You really can't see it, huh? Ah, it's too grainy. Oh, did I make these gray? Oh, wait a minute. I think I made these gray by accident. Yeah, I did. I see what I did. Sorry, hang on. I'll fix this. So what I did was I modified that black swatch and I made it gray. I actually need to create a new swatch. I'll make this one black. Okay, that's a little better. There we go. Okay, so all I'm getting at here is I want you guys to understand that you can start to actually draw in, and this isn't a great render, but you can start to draw in some really detailed line work on top of your drawing. I do have better examples. I'll pull a few up for you. But anyway, that's the process. This one didn't turn out very good because the rendering is too grainy, but you kind of get the idea, right? So what you will find, though, I will call this out, is all those hidden lines get really, really crazy. So that's why, I mean, like, this is a prime example of why the hidden lines generally aren't that necessary. So, you guys have any questions? All right, let me dig up some examples for you. So this is just a snapshot from one of the videos from an earlier class that I did, where and we will do this at some point. We're going to do a section, and it's the same method except you're going to take your Make 2D off of a section view instead, and then you just use Illustrator to fill in the gaps in between. So this is a section model, and it's showing some of the hidden lines behind it so that you can understand the architecture behind it. So that's a much simpler architecture, and it shows, or it communicates, you know, how you can use the hidden lines, or you can use visible lines in different ways. It's a very simple exercise. And then you know, this is a little bit more of a complex one. It's not a common thing to do, I would say, is leaving like these vector overlays on. But they can be really useful to highlight certain things about your concept. Like if you have geometrical concepts that you really want to capture, you can just take your construction lines right out of Rhino, or whatever it is that you're aligning things to, right out of Rhino, and then just start stretching them across and colorizing them or hatching them, whatever it is, right there in Illustrator. And it's a pretty cool process. So I will challenge you at some point in the next couple of weeks to be very creative using this, and so we're gonna have some creative design exercises for how to communicate elements of your design. Okay. So any other questions about that? No? Okay. Cool. Anyone?